Hey travelers, Mag and I here on day 337 of our trip around the United States. We actually made it far enough ahead last night that we did the math and we are going to finish this thing today. That is right. Ahead of us, we have 3 counties and 3 DeLorme pages, and that is it. We have met the goal. Today's route is going to have us covering 250 miles. If Tioga Pass were open, this would be very easy right now. But since it's not, we're gonna have to start here in Mammoth Lakes and come all the way back around to circle in to Yosemite Village to finish our day. We're beginning here in Mammoth Lakes because there are 3 webcams here around the area, all very good listings that I was very excited to be able to finish this trip off with. Unfortunately, my timing just didn't hit quite right. The gondolas are down right now because they're doing seasonal maintenance, so one of those webcams is inaccessible to us. But we can still get out there and go get 2 of them. After that, it's pretty much a straight drive all the way around to get back into the pages we need coming from the west side. So a lot of driving ahead of us, but since we got started very early this morning, we should be there by noon and have plenty of time to finish this thing off with daylight remaining on our side. So let's get out there together and finish this thing in style. Come on, let's go. High up in the mountains of Mono County, just shy of 8,000 feet, we begin the final day of this journey in the city of Mammoth Lakes. Like so many other cities in this part of California, Mammoth Lakes began as part of the gold rush. With a prospecting claim on Mineral Hill, the Mammoth Mining Company came into the area in 1878, establishing a mining camp then called Mammoth City. When the company pulled out, so too did the entirety of the population, but it experienced quite a resurgence, now with over 7,000 people living here.
It's very strange because this is a place I would expect to see a ton of people. But because of the early hour that we're here, it's just us. But I'll take it. It means I can go do some weird stuff for these webcams.
I emerged from the other side of the building and very carefully begin to make my way to the ground zero. There is a lot of snow on the ground and my boots are currently hanging in a tree. With Inextricable Fate manning the camera all the way from Japan, we're going ahead and knocking out the webcams here at Mammoth Lakes. We've got the first one and the second one pretty well in the bag there, and thanks to Inextricable Fate, I was able to get myself into a rather compromising pose. I've got to tell you, despite the fact that it's June here, I am more than a little surprised at how much snow is out here, but I guess I shouldn't be considering what this place is. Man, it is cold out here this morning. Just to be sure there's no miracle, we swing by the gondola leading up to the 3rd webcam. It actually seems somehow fitting to me that we're finishing our last day of this trip in the summertime with snow, because of course we are. Out of Mammoth Lakes, we take a short detour on State Route 120, leading up toward Tioga Pass. The pass, which serves as the eastern entry point for Yosemite National Park, is the highest elevation highway pass anywhere in the state, reaching up to almost 10,000 feet. We are well aware before we even start this detour that we won't be able to clear Tioga Pass, but we still decide to take it because this is the only way that we're going to get physical options in this page, as everything in Yosemite Village is virtual and earth caches. A true testament to the power of this geomobile, which has carried us across the entire country. Now it is well past time for us to add our names to a couple of logbooks to start the day before we make the long drive all the way back around. We know that these rocky slopes hide the treasures that we seek. It's just a matter of patience and searching around until we're able to make the finds. Oh, for how many miles and hours we might have been able to save if we could just clear Tioga Pass, but it was not meant to be. So instead, we do the one thing that I've been able to avoid pretty much this entire trip, and we retread the ground that we just covered yesterday. We do, however, finally get to mix it up again once we pass through Bridgeport and come to Sonora Junction, where we decide to head west along Highway 108. I laugh as we continue to pass right through the snow-covered mountains. With all of the effort I put into the planning for this trip to avoid the worst of the snow during winter, the irony of driving through snow-covered roads in June is not lost on me. Once again, we face off with the mountain roads leading us right back into Toyabe National Forest. And once again, we find ourselves climbing, but luckily not from 30 feet like we did from Sacramento, but rather from about 6,000 feet in Bridgeport. I have got to admit though, being this high up in the mountains of California makes for a spectacular view. Then the road finally levels off once we reach Sonora Pass at 9,600 feet.
I think by now it's pretty easy to see why we saved this for last, to wait as long as possible to come up here into these mountains. With this much snow on the ground, I cannot even imagine what it must have looked like even a month or two ago.
The incredible amount of driving time that we have in the mountains today provides us ample opportunity to reflect on the journey that we've had across the United States. From our very first day in New York City, touring Central Park, taking on the 32-stage Bridges and Arches multi-cache, all the way to the opposite end of the country almost a year later, taking on the 2-mile hike through the Tunnel of Light. What an incredible journey it's been every step of the way.
It may be the long way around, but it is important to keep in mind that the journey is the destination.
It is a steep drop coming down the other side of Sonora Pass, moving from over 9,000 feet in elevation to over 1,000 feet by the time we reach the city of Moccasin. I am fascinated how quickly the landscape all around us changes once we reach the other side of the mountains. And I think Aichan might be wondering where all the snow might have gone off to. Right before the turnoff that will carry us the rest of the way into Yosemite National Park, we stop in to visit a virtual located at the Ferretti Shrine. It is here at the 9th hour on our last day, just before we lose signal heading into the national park, that our plan changes. I had been hoping for the last few days to make the Golden State DeLorme Challenge my milestone number 35,000 as the closer for this trip. The CO for the challenge had finally agreed to meet with me, so before we came into the park, we turned around and started heading north toward Roseville. Now only 10 finds away from the milestone, I began to choose my targets very carefully, starting with a virtual right here in Angels Camp. This is the city where famed author Mark Twain has based his short story, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County. In commemoration of this story, the city holds an annual event called the Jumping Frog Jubilee, which has earned it the nickname Frogtown. Each geocache we choose to track down between Angels Camp and Roseville is handpicked to help us get to the exact number we need to hit that milestone. It turns out to be quite the balancing act between making the right amount of finds and arriving at the time that we had agreed upon with the CO. I am glad that I took the time to carefully choose which geocaches we would pursue, because some of these were pretty darn fun. And Aichan definitely agreed on this one. Next, we slide through the city of San Andreas with a population of about 2,600 people. I would tell you about how this city came to be, but you've probably already guessed that it was yet another California city that came about as a direct result of the gold rush. Are you seeing a trend yet? Lastly, we come into the city of Jackson, the county seat of Amador County, with a population of about 4,600 people. Named for Colonel Alden Jackson, this city was founded in 1848 and sprang up as a result of the, oh come on, you know this one.
Amador County, my last county in California, and you guessed it, our last county in general. Now let's go get our milestone and sign off on the Golden State DeLorme Challenge.
Our anticipation for the end of this journey continues to build as we pass through Sutter Creek on our way into Auburn. Here in front of the county courthouse, the very last that we will be seeing on this journey, we wait for word from the CO, knowing that this is the end of our adventure.
The Golden State DeLorme Challenge. This is it. Find number 35,000 and the culmination of what we've been working on through this entire series. Let's have a look at what's going on inside here. Did you hear that sound? And that is a beautiful logbook in here too, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Look at that. This is it. With the stamping of this logbook, we have completed our entire target list. Ooh, love it. Let's get another one on there too, just for good measure. Ooh, that one's cleaner too. All right, there it is. All of our targets complete. Stamps down.
All right, that is going to do it for our final day touring here in California and our final day touring across the United States. We woke up this morning in Mammoth Lakes and immediately made our way toward Yosemite National Park. The problem, of course, is the Tioga Pass was not open for us. So what would have been a nice, easy over for us ended up being a complete up and around, which was fine because it gave us the opportunity to finish off those last DeLorme counties before we came back out of the park area. The timing was just right because just as we got up to the front door of the park, That's when the owner for the Golden State DeLorme Challenge contacted us and said that they would be willing to meet tonight, which means that we were able to sign off on our 35,000 milestones. That's 10,000 geocaches over the last year as we toured our way through 34 states and over half the counties in the contiguous United States. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tour of California and this tour of the United States as much as we have enjoyed bringing you footage day after day. Yesterday, when we were in front of the Capitol building in Sacramento, I promised you 3 days of footage, and that's still exactly what's gonna happen. Aichan and I are gonna go get rested up and get ready because me mom's gonna be flying in a couple of days. We're gonna be hosting a YouTube live session to close out this journey that we have had across the country. So I hope that you guys are able to join us, bring all your questions, and hear about all the amazing things that have happened to us along the way and what it looks like across the finish line. It's now more important than ever that you subscribe if you have not already, because while our updates will not be coming nearly as regularly as they have, we will be still doing travels around the world and we will be sending you updates as we do so. Like this video, subscribe, stay tuned for those updates, and we'll see you out on the trails.